Hey everyone, welcome back to Desi Reddit Glow. Tonight's confession is the kind of story that starts so quietly, yet slowly pulls you in until you can't look away. It's raw, it's real, and it comes straight from our slash to ex-India. If you've ever felt that dangerous spark with someone you're not supposed to want, this one is for you. I wasn't supposed to notice him. He was my boss, 34, tall, broad shoulders that filled out his crisp white shirts just right, sharp jawline, dark eyes that seemed to see straight through you, and that calm, confident presence that made the entire open plan office go silent the moment he walked in. He never raised his voice, but everyone listened. The kind of man who could command a room without saying much at all. And me, 28, just another mid-level employee grinding through the same 9 to 9 schedule in Mumbai. Stuck in a 3-year relationship that had slowly faded into background noise. I told myself I was invisible to him. Just another phase. Just another late night report on his desk. Nothing more. But it started so innocently. I barely noticed the shift. Late evenings became our unspoken routine. The rest of the team would pack up and leave by 7:30. He'd lean against the glass door of my cabin, sleeves rolled up, tie loosened just a little, and say in that deep, velvet voice, "Can you stay back for 10 minutes?" 10 minutes turned into an hour. An hour turned into 2. And somewhere along the way, the conversations stopped being about spreadsheets and deadlines. He started remembering the little things no one else bothered to notice anymore. How I hated the freezing AC blast in the conference room and would always wrap my dupatta tighter around my shoulders. How I skipped lunch whenever a big client presentation was coming up, and my hands would shake from the stress. How I unconsciously twisted the thin gold ring on my finger whenever I felt anxious. One rainy Thursday, he even brought me filter coffee, exactly the way I like it. No sugar, extra ginger, hot enough to warm my palms. He placed it on my desk without a word. But his fingers brushed mine for half a second longer than necessary. That tiny touch sent a spark straight up my arm and straight into places I didn't want to admit existed anymore. Week after week, the late nights stacked up. I started dressing a little differently on the days I knew he'd ask me to stay. A slightly tighter kurti, a touch more kajal. I told myself it was nothing, just professional. But deep down, I knew I was looking forward to those quiet hours when the office felt like it belonged only to the two of us. And then came that night. It was pouring outside, the kind of heavy Mumbai monsoon rain that turns the city into a hazy, neon soaked dream. The tall glass office building in Bandra East, standing right next to the glowing ICICI Bank Tower, had already emptied out hours ago. The office lights had been dimmed to save power. Only the emergency strips glowed softly along the corridors. The entire floor was empty except for us. He walked over to my desk slowly, stood closer than usual, close enough that I could smell his cologne. Woody, expensive, with a hint of something warm and masculine that made my stomach tighten and my breath catch. He looked at me for a long, quiet moment. Those dark eyes searching mine. Then he said it, voice low and intimate, almost a whisper. You don't look happy anymore. The words hit me like a slow wave. No one had ever said that to me. Not my boyfriend, who barely looked up from his phone when I got home. Not my friends, who only saw the filtered Instagram version of my life. Not even me, when I stared at my reflection in the office restroom mirror every single morning, wondering why I felt so empty. I tried to laugh it off. I even made a joke about the weather. But my voice cracked just a little. My heart was hammering so loudly. I was sure he could hear it in the silence between the raindrops. He didn't push. He didn't flirt. He didn't cross any line. He simply nodded, understanding. Then he grabbed his umbrella and said, Come, I'll walk you to the cab stand. We stepped out into the rain together. He held the umbrella over me, even though his own shoulder was getting soaked. His hand lightly rested on the small of my back as we crossed the slippery lobby. Just for a second. Just enough to steady me. That single touch lingered on my skin long after we reached the cab. He stood there under the street light, hands in his pockets, watching as the cab pulled away. I kept glancing back in the rearview mirror, and he was still standing there, just looking after me. When I finally got home that night, my boyfriend was already asleep on the couch, phone glowing on his chest. Same position as always. No. How was your day? No kiss, no questions. Just the usual heavy silence that had become our normal. I stood in the doorway for a long time, still feeling the ghost of my boss's cologne on my clothes, still replaying the way his voice dropped when he said those 6 words, still imagining what would have happened if, instead of walking me to the cab, he had taken my hand and pulled me back into that dim office. If those calm, confident hands had finally crossed the invisible line we'd both been dancing around for weeks. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake, replaying every late night conversation, every accidental touch, every lingering look. And for the first time in years, I felt truly seen, desired, alive. So tell me in the comments, have you ever had that one person at work who slowly became the only thing you could think about? The kind of forbidden chemistry that feels dangerous, delicious, and impossible to ignore. If this story gave you butterflies, drop a like. Tell me your own office story. I read every single one. And if you want part 2, what happened the very next week when he asked me to stay back again, just say part 2 in the comments and I'll drop it next. Thank you for listening to another late night Daisy Reddit Glow. See you in the next one.